Long as it saves on YouTube. Okay. Abibifahodie, Abibitumi, family. I am trying my best to get this live situated, man. I'm a little confused right now, but it's okay. This is new for me using StreamYard this time. So I actually don't even know if it's on YouTube. The funny part. Let's actually give me a second. Let's check that out. But Karibu. Welcome. This music Let's actually see if I'm live right now. Emanates from the king. Okay, yeah. It's actually working. We live right now. That's lit. That's lit. Feel like an old man. Um, trying to get this thing set up, honestly. But I'll turn it down. We're gonna get to it. Apologies for the light being like it is right now. But it is what it is. But yeah, so again, Karibu, welcome back to Maktaba ya Chinwe. It's Kamal. And today we are going to be doing essentially a little overview. And it's part one of the overview, just because I want my compliment to be in one of these videos because we read it together. And I did not completely finish getting the points that I wanted to cover, like within these last few chapters. And to keep it a buck, I should have been did another video, but I was so locked in, man. This book, man, it was everything and more that I said in the first video. I've been really tapped into autobiographies and just learning about someone that I've looked up to like my whole life before I even actually knew who this man was. You know, I looked up to him. And so just getting them some insight about him definitely helped me out a lot. And yeah, I just want to speak about that before we go into the book. One thing that this book did for me was allow me to humanize Nana Malcolm. You know, a lot of times when you look up to people, you end up idolizing them, and you kind of forget that they're actually human too. So like they have flaws and things like that. And so this book kind of gave me a little insight into that. And Malcolm, you know, expressed. I don't know if he held back, but even if he did, he still gave enough for me, and of course a lot of other Black people, white people, whoever has read this book. And I hope you who are watching this encourages you to read it if you haven't read it. But yes, I think that's the biggest thing that I took from this book. Humanizing Nana Malcolm, and also developing a deeper understanding that even though like there are great human beings, there are people who've done great things, but we still have to remember that they're actually human. And so when you remember that they're still human, that gives you more encouragement. That gives you more influence, more motivation to be able to do what they did, or not exactly what they did, but to be able to add to what they did and make things that they did better in your own way. You know, I'm not sure if it's Nana Malcolm or Nana Garvey who said like that is a key component to the importance of reading, is you get to see what another human being did. And so when you're able to see what another human being did, their process, their story, it encourages you, it influences you to be like, I can do that. You feel me? So yeah, that's the biggest takeaways I got from this read, man. It's a great one. I won't I want to talk about some things that I didn't like, but at the same time I don't want to. Well, actually, I will talk about some things I didn't like, but I mean, as far as like, I guess the outside things like Alex Haley, I referenced him taking out a chapter in the last video, and I also learned some other things like that he just like rewrote a lot of things that Nana Malcolm put in here. So it's kind of like when you're reading it, you kind of have to. Well, if you're aware, when you know better, you do better. So if you're aware that that happened, which I ended up becoming aware of it, so I ended up reading and processing things differently. You research Nana Malcolm, you know a little bit about him before you've read this book. You've watched speeches, maybe even read other books. You're able to have clear discernment on like, oh no, did he really say that? You know what I mean? You question it a little bit, and that's okay. A lot of things in here that a lot of ways that Nana Malcolm felt in this book. I actually disagree with some of them, and to be honest, like for me, that adds to the humanizing part, and that just shows the growth that I've had in myself. When we read these books, when we study our ancestors, read their stories, when we study their opinions on how we should achieve liberation, we must think critically, I'll say. Man, this light is terrible. I gotta hurry up before the sun go down. But yeah, we must think critically. And so, yeah, I was able to do a lot of thinking in this read. But most things, though, yeah, no. Now Malcolm, man, he's power. He's power. Okay, we got some people in the building, though. Hold on. I see it. Where's he? Oh, I guess ain't nobody saying that. Well, peace, people. Everybody who's in here, show some love. You know what I mean? Y'all just staring at me and all that. But nah. So that's just like just a preface to some feelings I've had. Well, that I had reading this book. I'm actually not completely finished. I mean, I'm finished with the chapters, but I've just been reading the epilogue to get some insight onto, I guess, the processing of the book, how Alex Haley was able to, get Nana Malcolm to actually tell him his story. And reading that too, that also made me a little more iffy about Alex Haley. As Nana Malcolm was. But I think Malcolm got to a point to where he was like, man, everybody the feds. So if I can give my story, and he actually says this in the last pages of the book, he actually says, if my story can impact basically the next generation, I'm not quoting it bar for bar, then he did his part, and it did. You feel me? So rather Alex Haley was FBI or CIA or was 85% chance that he was. Nana Malcolm made that decision to give his all. He was able to get to a point where he didn't fear death, which he says since he was in the streets, he didn't. So that allowed him to give himself to this book. And so we give thanks. But with that, I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to get to these quick points, man. I only have like 4 points that I wanted to touch on. today, because like I said, like I want to do part two, allow my partner to finish her book, but life has been life, and what I'm saying, we just welcomed in a little one, so we got to make sure we find balance with that. And so so the first point that I want to cover is in, as you can see on the screen, I hope, chapter 11, Saved. This is a PDF I have of the book, but it may be a little hard for me to find actually what I want to say, so bear with me here. Well, in this book, Saved, man, because I can do an overview of that. Nana Malcolm, he tapped us in, of his readings once he was while he was in prison, man. He gave us some insight onto how he started wearing glasses and all that. But he talked about a lot of great info. He began learning about the world as a whole, and so it gave him some insight. And he studied the white man, as he says. He studied the evilness that the white man has, pushed over the world. Not even just centered around us as Black people, as African people, but he spoke about the Asian, the Chinese, the Indian man, and the different things that they did to them. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah. Let's see. Bear with me. I'm still looking. You know what? You know what, fam? You know what I'm about to say. Oh, it's not gonna let me do it. Well, what I'm about to say is bump it. I got what I need to say right here. So the first point that I want to cover, man, if you have the book, I am on Saved, the chapter Saved, and I am on page 182. It's something kind of broad, but it's important. And it is the special problem of African people in the diaspora. And what I wanted to touch on there was, as I said, the special problem. And when I say a special problem, I mean to the simple fact of it's very difficult for us as Africans in the diaspora to track where we come from and to know where we descended from. And he spoke about this actually on page 182 and 183. And in this time, he was talking about how he was essentially, telling different his inmates, his co-inmates, about our history and our story, and he expressed how we can never know our true family name or even where we are descended from. And that is, like I said, that's why I call it the special problem, because even though it can sometimes be a problem because we can't tie ourselves to a specific ethnic group, like the Yoruba, the Hausa, the Wolof, but it becomes special and a powerful thing when we truly understand why we can't, right? Because as Africans in the diaspora, all of these ethnic groups were taken from these specific areas in Africa, right? And on the ships, once they came to their different spots throughout the diaspora, these people, they had to procreate. That's the only reason why we're here. And so Wolof was mixing with Hausa, Yoruba were mixing with Wolof and Mandinka, You see what I'm saying? And so that produced what we are. Some teachers may call us the new Africans, but that's for you to decide however you want to call it. But that's why I label that as the special problem. Um, and so I think it's important. I chose this to speak about because I think it's important that we don't allow that to be something divisive. I think, like I said before, we need to allow that to be something of power. You know what I'm saying? Understanding that we come from all of these different ethnic groups, who, separated into these different ethnic groups for simple survival. You see what I'm saying? And so that gives us power, man. Like I am a Khan, I am a Shanti. You see, I am a Fula. You see what I'm saying? Mandinka. I am that, and you are as well. So that was just something I wanted to touch on, and to remind us that we need to use that as our power, and not to try your best not to get so caught up in trying to figure out what tribe you come from, man. Just choose one. I can guarantee you, whatever tribe you choose, it's in your DNA. Um, the most important thing for us to remember, especially at this point in our experience, is to know that we are one people, and we have to move in that until we are truly liberated. And then once we liberated, y'all want to have different conversations, healthy ones, righteous ones in ma'at, about how we're going to do everything, then we can do that. But right now we need to move as one. Okay, that was the first point I wanted to tap into. Let's see. Let me get to my theme right here. Yes, so we're going to go to 184, 185. Really, this whole chapter, this whole book, Malcolm is spewing this out, and that is the white man being the devil. So I just wanted to analyze that a little bit. Is the white man the devil? And what does that actually mean? I think it's important that we really take a step back, right, with an open mind, as open as possible. And I know that's difficult for Black people, especially because of the word devil. You know what I mean? But we have to understand that the word devil doesn't mean like this man with horns or whatever that's like under the ground burning in fire, right? The devil is significant and represents a spirit, an evil spirit, right? And so just like how Nana Malcolm was speaking earlier in this chapter when he was telling us about his studies of the white man, when we look at his behavior since his existence, since he came to this earth, or was produced, if you believe in that story of evolution, everything that followed that showed evilness. And so when we say the white man is the devil, we have to be very serious in answering that with truth. And in my opinion, I agree with Nana Malcolm and the Nation of Islam. The white man is in ways the devil. And so if we're honest about that, I think that we're able to operate better, within the world, amongst ourselves as African people, and amongst them. If we trust them, as DMX once said in an interview, you trust people to be themselves, and you'll never go astray. If we trust them to be who they've shown us that they are, then I don't think we'll have a problem. We'll move with a seriousness. We'll move with a militancy. We'll move with diligence, and diligence as well, to be able to get things done. And so, yeah, I think it's very important that when we think of or ask the question, is the white man or the white race the devil? We have to understand that that is an energy. It is a spiritual concept. When we talk about that, or if it's not for you, that's how you should try your best to look at it. And so, then that'll lead us to other questions on how, how can this devil, be made better? Can he be made better, or is this just innate to their spirit? Who knows? Y'all let me know what y'all thinking in the comments. So yeah, that's another one. So yeah, we got the special problem of Africans in the diaspora. We got is the white man the devil? Tell me, think about everything that I just reflected on. Wow. So in my notes, I typed something, but I don't know what it says. Let's see. I got it on page 186 though. So let's go to page 186 and let's see what's going on. Let's see what one. Oh, that's 185. When I was reading this book, a lot of times, because I got a different version, right? I got a big version. And a lot of times, like I would turn the page and it would feel so thick. And I would think I'm skipping pages. And I did it just now. That's why I'm bringing it up. So, like, I wonder if I skipped pages. I don't know. Let's see. 186. See, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think I might have meant to say. Yeah, I'm not sure what I wrote down. So I'm gonna go to page 184, and we're gonna reflect on this paragraph right here that I had highlighted. And it says, and this goes back to my last point as far as the white man being a devil. And so he says, you tell that to any Negro or any black man, except for those relatively few integration mad so-called intellectuals, and those black men who are otherwise fat, happy, dumb, deaf, and blinded with their crumbs from the white man's rich table. You have struck a nerve centered in the American black man's heart. And I can I can coincide with that. I can resonate with that heavily, because I've seen both sides. I've seen other people talk about what the white man has brought to this world, or what the white race has brought to this world, what they've done to us, talking about our experience as African people when we encountered them, or our encounters with them. And it's like they can't take it. It's almost like you're burning their skin, like they try to run away. And for me, that is indeed a true Negro, a true fat, happy, dumb, deaf, and blinded man or woman. Because if someone's been, or they call it the Stockholm syndrome, if someone's been doing you bad, you should want to know that they've been doing you bad. You see what I'm saying? And I've also seen on the other side, actually being in, the judicial system, as I was a teacher in the juvenile justice department. When I would tell these young black men, even white young men and Hispanic, even black, white, and Hispanic young girls, when I would tell them about what was really going on around them, how important it is for the system to keep you in here, they received it. They received it when I gave them assignments to reflect and give thoughts on their experience, and then we talk about it as a group. They received it and they understood. They felt it deeply. You know what I'm saying? And I think it made them want to make a change. Now, did they actually do it? No, but that further shows you just how far this system runs or is embedded within us. That is, even when we do figure out what's really going on, even when we do figure out how it's just a trap that we're in, we're enslaved. We're captured even outside of this judicial system. We just say bump it. You feel what I'm saying? So we almost fall victim to being the same as the fat, happy, deaf, dumb, and blinded black man or woman. But I think what's very important, and Malcolm touched on this in the book as well, when you make someone aware, right? You have to, especially black people, especially those locked up, grown men and women, children as well. You have to offer them proper guidance, something practical that they can now do to replace what it was that they were doing that was helping them survive. Because if you take whatever that was away from them that was helping them survive, because they need to get away from it, but you don't give them anything practical or new or beneficial to help them live, then yeah, they might stray away from what they were doing for a little bit, but then they're going to go right back to it. And it's going to be even harder this time because it's going to be with an awareness, with a new consciousness of like what's actually happening out here. So they're gonna go harder this time. You dig what I'm saying? And so when we think about all of this, when we think about making people aware, ask questions why people ain't aware, think about what our youth is doing. Those of us who are aware, who have found the guidance, who know of resources and different things that could help lead those who aren't aware or who strive to be aware in not the perfect, but the right direction, then we need to be developing those things so that when it happens, listen, this is where you can go right here. You can check out this organization. You can join my organization. You can check out this YouTube video, this educational platform. You see what I'm saying? So yeah. That's one thing that's very, very imperative. Let's make things practical with our wanting people to be aware and wake up. Let's have something for them to go to. Let's offer direct guidance to each other, to the youth especially, and even adults, man. Let's just stop saying, you don't know this. Like, what's going on? Or when they be like, yo, listen, I learned this. Don't give them a pat on the back. Well, give them a pat on the back. Give them a hug. Give them a hug. Because being aware is tough. It's tough. Because you now have a duty. The Creator has now given you a duty to do better. And if you don't, then you'll have to answer for that. That's none of my business. But we have a duty now. And so, like I said, just make sure we're offering each other the proper guidance, the proper tools to be able to produce whatever it is you're led to produce for the people. All right. So the last thing that I'm going to cover, and we're probably going to talk about this again in part 2 as well. And it goes back to what I was expressing at the very beginning on how this book, or what type of impact this book had on me. And that was the humanizing factor, how it allowed me to look at and view Malcolm as a human being. I want to talk about Malcolm's unhealthy reverence for Elijah Muhammad. This will make one thing clear. I'm not going to disrespect the Nation of Islam. I'm not going to disrespect the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because as Nana Malcolm said, even after they fell out, the Nation of Islam did some great things for the black man and woman. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did some great things for the black man and the black woman. So I'm not going to I'm not gonna diss them, but I will speak on that. I'm gonna have the reverence for this man. It's times in this book, it's plenty of times actually, where Nana Malcolm says he had more faith in this man than he thinks that Elijah Muhammad had in himself. So that led Malcolm to honestly walk around here like a chicken with his head cut off. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like, like how a Negro or the house slave felt about the slave master. You see? So in a way, as I'm thinking about it now, actually, Nana Malcolm was almost enslaved to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in a way. If you watch a lot of his early interviews, um, everything was, and I feel like, and this was his duty as the minister in the Nation of Islam. He was a part of an organization. Great. But that just shows you, like, he was truly actually like enslaved. It was, everything was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us this. Seldom did Nana Malcolm actually express his thoughts. And so, yeah, I felt that led to him closing his eyes to what was actually happening. Because when we love somebody to a certain level, man, we turn blind eyes to all types of messages that may be being shown, or spiritual energy that may be getting transferred, but we're reading it wrong because we're blinded. We're blinded by love. We're blinded by this reverence for another human being. when in actually, because in Malcolm, he truly believed that, like, almost that Elijah Muhammad was basically Jesus, like the story of Jesus, how Jesus is shown as the Son of God, and he lived a perfect life. That's exactly how Malcolm X, from his words and what we saw in interviews, that's how he viewed Elijah Muhammad. Like, that was his father, like that was his spiritual father, and he would trade his life for him. You know what I'm saying? But I felt, and Nana Malcolm kind of comes to admit that, it was definitely just an unhealthy reverence, because as we know, or a lot of people might know, I feel like this is very public knowledge. You can get some more insight by reading the book, though, that Elijah Muhammad, he essentially had sex and impregnated, committed, what would you call it? Adultery, with his secretaries, about 6 of them, I believe, and he impregnated them, and they had children. And so instead of confessing and appointing these assistants as his wives, as he told Nana Malcolm X, that was his calling. He was supposed to do these things. He allowed the Nation of Islam to slander them. You know what I'm saying? And when it came out to be public knowledge, he stood there and, in my opinion, copped out, man, and tried to say that what he did was prophecy. You see what I'm saying? And Nana Malcolm's reverence for this man made him say, all right, my spiritual father says that this was prophecy, so I'm going to make it be prophecy. Nana Malcolm says he studied every scripture in the Quran, every Bible verse, to basically confirm that what he did was prophecy. Because there are a lot of stories in the Bible about people who, committed adultery, who did essentially the same things that, or had many wives or things like that. And so now Malcolm said, you know what, man, I'm going to prepare for this, and I'm going to try to make sure, our people are ready for when this comes out to them, to the actual world. Like, it was public knowledge with the higher ups, in the Nation of Islam, and then like the public media sector, but they didn't release it completely. A lot of that stuff I found real fishy as well, as far as, like, there were Elijah Muhammad's relationships with the system. Found a lot of that weird, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, and so then Malcolm started literally teaching in his mosque. Um, and that's another thing that I appreciate and love, man. Malcolm's dedication, like, even though I felt like he was kind of enslaved to the Nation of Islam, his dedication, though, his dedication to the nation was undeniable, man. Like, Islam wouldn't be what it is in America now, I don't think, if it was for, well, the nation wouldn't be what it is, definitely. But like, Islam amongst black people would not be a thing if it wasn't for Nana Malcolm. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like he kind of got me very like kind of intrigued and interested to learn more about Islam. Even though I have another understanding on how Islam was created and passed on to African people, but it's still interesting to see seeing how it impacted Nana Malcolm's life. You know what I mean? And I like to think of myself as somebody who's very disciplined and tries to take care of themselves and their people to the same, or I aspire to operate as Malcolm did, or what we know that he did. You feel me? Because we never know. But yeah, and so I keep going on tangents. Nana Malcolm began to prepare the mosque. And when this knowledge or information came out to the complete public, man, tell me why these people start bashing Malcolm. They start saying Malcolm was the problem. They start saying Malcolm did this, Malcolm did that. It's his fault. He caused this. Absolutely unbelievable, in my opinion, man. Absolutely unbelievable. And that just goes back to what I said. Malcolm had an unhealthy reverence for Elijah Muhammad, because if it was healthy, he would have did better. I think he would have did better. But that's just a part of life. Like I said, it allowed me to humanize him, and I feel like that gives me a deeper respect for him, just because I saw how he, even though like what he did was kind of like, I can look at it in hindsight from my perspective and be like, dang, Malcolm, that's kind of stupid. But like, that was just how dedicated he was. And who knows? I probably would do the same thing if I felt like that to somebody, or really my family. That's really the only people I can say right now that I would do something like that for. Like, try to make sure what they did was seen in a certain light. Being in control of your narrative. And so, but as we all know, again, Nana Malcolm ended up separating from the Nation of Islam after all of this happened. And it probably was the best thing that ever happened to him. Even though he didn't live very long after that. His consciousness, his awareness, his feelings about the workings of the world seemed to go in a better direction. He began to learn more about Africa, get on the ground in Africa, different encounters, different experience with various people. That's something that we're going to talk about in part 2. And yeah, so again, I love this book. I love Nana Malcolm. Definitely respect he and his family. Respect the Nation of Islam as well. And I respect Islam. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. I'm going to try to figure out how to... This PDF actually sucks. I give thanks for it because it's free. But it has no page numbers, no anything. So next time, I am going to... There we go. That's what I was trying to do earlier when I was like bumping. But I'm going to try to get those things together. And all of this stuff is new to me, using StreamYard, streaming live on YouTube, teaching and studying the books. It's kind of new to me. But we're going to get better. But before we go, make sure y'all like the video. Make sure y'all share, subscribe to the channel. There are a lot more things to come. Again, this is all about growth. This is me showing my growth, and also showing shedding some light on some great materials and some solutions that our ancestors left us, and hopefully offering some ways in which we can come together and actually, put those things in practice and in motion. So yeah, man. Like I said, make sure y'all like, subscribe, share the video, comment, give some good energy. Make sure y'all support my partner and I's bookstore, Asante Sana Books. The link to the bookstore is in the bio. If you would like to get this book right here in physical form, we got you. If you would like to get it in the ebook form, we got you. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure y'all tap into that link. Also, if you would like to donate to help support the channel, to help support our bookstore as well, make sure you tap the link, the PayPal in the bio, or again, just share as well. We take that as support too. So yeah, again, if you want to learn more about that stolen chapter or the chapter that was taken out of this book, the link to that is in the bio as well. But yeah, so we'll see y'all on the rebound. We'll probably stream part 2 next Sunday. So make sure y'all tap in, man. You know what I mean? Abibifahodie, Abibitumi, Kwaheri, Badaye. I see y'all later. Peace. I have no clue how to. Oh, there we go. Peace.